Hey guys, it's Nik the Booksmith. Welcome back, welcome back. Today I wanted to show you a little hack for putting together mini books like the ones I have in my store and any others that are put together in a way where you accordion fold the pages and then you glue the back sides together. I'll put a picture up on screen. So anyway, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of stink at accordion folding and making sure that everything is nice and neat and folded properly. And it does help to use a scoreboard, but not everybody has a scoreboard. So that is what I wanted to show you today, that little hack. I've been preparing for the end of the year sale that I have every year. So I've been working on finishing up digi-kits that were like half finished that I've been meaning to finish forever. And the hack that I'm going to show you, it doesn't matter what size they are, as long as they are this accordion fold type, it should work on them just fine. It's just a little bit different way of cutting and folding them together than normal, but it doesn't really change anything other than that. And then I'm also going to show you a new way for making a cover for them that is a little bit easier because the cover, well, I'll show you. I'm not going to go through that right now. I'll just wait and I'll tell you about that when we get done with the middle part. So here is one of the books, and what's cool about these is they are the right size to fit inside of a little Matchbox case. And so each of the books will come with a matching Matchbox case to cut out and put the book in. And then that way even the box looks like the book. Let's move along. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting out the block of pages. This is a cover image, and then also on this one too, I'm just going to cut out these blocks of pages real quick. So here are those two blocks of images cut free from the page, and this is the cover image. Set that aside, don't really need it at the moment. So what I'm going to do on the back of each one of these is I'm going to mark every 1.5 inches. I'm going to mark a line across, and that will be corresponding with these page dividers here. And because I have this grid work, it makes it kind of easy. And that gets done to both pages. After I make these lines, I turn it to the right side and hold it this way, because this is the way you can read it. And then it gets flipped over from like this. So this is the top. And then I'm going to take some double-sided sticky tape, and this is just 1/4 inch stuff. And underneath that first line, I'm going to run a piece of tape, chop it off at the bottom. Then I'm going to skip a line and put a piece of tape under this one. And then skip another line and put a piece of tape underneath this one. And if any of the tape extends past the page, I give it a little trim. Now I'm going to take this tape, and I think this is like 3/8 or something. It's just a little bit wider, but it doesn't really matter. This tape will go above the line, and I don't put it on the line, I give it a little bit of a gap. And then the next one will be just opposite the second tape, but above this line. And then the last stretch of tape will go just opposite of this tape that we put there, but there is no line because it's the end of the road here. just like that. And then that gets done to both pieces. And then we go on as normal, like we would if we were going to be accordion folding. And we cut each of these pages into the long strips, the 3 long strips. And these pages are 2 inches and 1/8 tall. So if you have a ruler that you can see through like this one, you can line it up at 2 1/8 all the way down. And cut it free. And of course, these don't have page numbers on them, so besides the first and the last page, it doesn't matter what order they're in. And then these, instead of an accordion folding them, we are going to cut each of these strips into 3 pieces, 3 equal pieces. The first 2 pages get cut away, and then the next 2 pages get cut away. So it'd be 3 equal pieces. And if it matters what order the papers go in, then you can pay attention and keep them in a row, but these don't matter. And going in this direction, these are 3 inches wide. So again, if you have a ruler, you can see through, it's easier. And I just want to make sure that that's the first one and that's the last page. But other than that, it doesn't matter. And we have them all cut apart. And now each one of these gets folded in half with the printed side to the inside. So after they're folded, just the blank part is on the outside. Once all your pages are cut apart, then you can stack them however you'd like, making sure they're all facing up in the same direction, and making sure that this is the first page and that's the last page, in pages at the front and the back. And I'm going to turn it over with the folded edges facing up, and I'm going to hit this against the work surface because this is the side that I want to be flush and even. This side back here may or may not be as even. As we cut the pages apart, there will be small variances, but it's more important to have the foredge that you'll see flush than back here where it's going to be hidden underneath the book cover. So I'm just going to make sure that that's flush, and then with my other fingers I will just somewhat even out the top and the bottom. I'm just going to grab one of these. Should hold it all right. I like because these have a flat bottom to them, and so you can make sure that everything's nice and even against that. Anyway, and I just take a straight pin, and starting at one end or the other, I peel off that backing from the tape by the fold. Squish that together, and then go to the next one. Pull that off and stick that together. And as long as you're fairly careful, you won't pull your pages out of alignment that you just put them into. And we just go from page to page, taking off the backing and squishing it back together. You can make sure that you didn't miss any. I've done that a lot. So now we have the spine all stuck together. So now what we do is we do the opposite and we open up this side and we find two of the blank pages, and there will be a piece of tape. Just grab that, just lay it down, fold that together, and then we go to the next pair of blank pages and pull the backing off and stick that down. You could always put a little clamp or clip or something on the back just to keep everything steady if you feel like for some reason it's not. Because we're not using any wet glue between the pages, then warping isn't going to be an issue. You won't have to worry about your pages getting wonky on you. And it's as easy as that, just finding the tape between the two blank pages and peeling off the lining and sticking that together. Let's see if I missed any. Yep, I knew it. And there's all the pages put together and ready to go into a cover, which we will do next. It's a little different as well because I didn't make covers to go with these. I made a cover image that can be used on your cover, but I didn't make a printable cover. And the reason why I decided not to do that is because everybody's paper is going to be a little bit different as far as like thicknesses and maybe how you fold and put things together might be just slightly different. And then that way, no matter what size your text block ends up being, whether it's just a tiny bit skinnier or a tiny bit wider, then it won't matter. I grabbed some pieces of just cardstock that I had lying around. I want it to be more muted and to look more like book cloth. And that one might work. This is a piece of just tea-dyed lightweight cardstock, I think. That might work. It's a tag from back in the day. Do people still make those? Even something like this probably wouldn't be bad. I mean, I'm not going to use it, not with this image here, but I think I'm going to just use that. Just going to open this up with the little end pages back just to kind of guesstimate how much I'm going to need. I'm only going to cut the height, and I want to leave, I don't know, 1.5 millimeters or so, maybe. Yeah, I think that's it. Just a very little teeny tiny bit around the edge is all. So I will cut this just a little bit taller than the text block. There we go, but I'm going to leave it long. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of cloth. This is a retired pillowcase from who knows when. And I'm going to cut a strip of cloth that is just shorter than the text block and I don't know, 2 or 3 times wider than the spine. Width is good, but it's too long. There we go, that's about right. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue here to hold that fabric down. You can put the glue on the spine of the text block, or you could or you could paint it on the back of the fabric too. Either one will be just fine. And then I'm just going to somewhat center it. Probably not going to be centered at all, but you know what I mean. Grab a couple pieces of chipboard and just clamp this together for a minute. Alright, I'll give this a few minutes to dry and then we'll move on to making the cover. I'm going to grab that piece of cardstock that we cut earlier, and I'm going to open up the book so that the front and back fly leaves are open. And then that way when I place it on top of this thin piece of cardstock, I can guesstimate where I'm going to want my book to sit in relation to the top and the bottom edges. And that will be about right. And I can cut around it later. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a little paintbrush and some PVA white glue, and I'm going to brush some glue on this fabric scrap that we glued onto the back. And this is why you want your fabric scrap to be about 3 times the width of the spine, so you have a little bit of room to add the glue. I brush glue all the way up to where the spine starts, just up to that edge. And now I will turn it around and repeat that on this side. And now with that same procedure, with the front and back fly leaves open, you can lay it down and get it in that spot where you liked it. And using white glue, you have some time. So I'm just going to lift this fly leaf and smooth down that piece of fabric. And then I'm going to lift this fly leaf and smooth down this side. And if you want to adjust your pages so that they open evenly on the top and the bottom, you can take the time to do that, because you'll have a minute. I'm going to fold this around on both sides. I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to run it along the edge of that spine, just a couple of millimeters in from that. Just be careful with your paper because it can, you might be able to tear it while it's wet with a little bit of glue underneath there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open these little covers to where we scored it right there. I'm just going to just fold these back a little bit and reinforce that fold, that score line. Okay, I'm going to trim a little bit more, not all the way, but trim a little bit more of that off. And now I'm going to open it to that fold line. Now on this side I do have tape from the other step, and I will put tape on the other parts of that page. I'm going to take just 2 of those little liners off, and I'm going to close that down, backing off of the rest of the tape, and get that folded down. Take the bone folder and make sure that that tape is stuck, and carefully reinforce that hinge on the cover. Both sides. I'm going to grab a straight edge and put it inside the cover but underneath the pages. And I'm going to line it up where I want the edge of the cover to peek out. And I'm just eyeballing this. And I'll turn it around and do the same on this side. If you want to coat this in anything, you can either do it now or you can wait until after you put the cover image on. Just one thing about that is if you're going to use like a brush-on varnish like this, like something like this, don't tape this on, because when you tape something on, there will be little air pockets underneath. You can't help it. That's just the way it is. And then when you put a wet medium on top of that, it swells the paper fibers. And wherever it isn't adhered perfectly to whatever it's stuck down to, those paper fibers will swell and make a bubble. And that's how you get the bubbles and wrinkles underneath stuff when you go to seal it. It has to have the same adhesive underneath that it has on top. And not just that, but you have to make sure that you get an even coating and you don't miss any spots. Just saying. I know it's a pain in the butt, but that's what it is. I can't help it. That's how it goes. This is just a piece of junk mail that I saved to use for a work surface if I needed to make a mess. Another thing you can do is if you want to paint anything on the spine at this point, you can do that. You can paint it, you can draw it on. There's all kinds of things that, it's up to you. I painted some gold stripes on the spine. I just didn't do it on camera. Sorry about that. I don't know what I was thinking or not thinking. That just leaves me with the cover image if I choose to add that. You can use PVA or the aforementioned matte medium or varnish or something like that. And there it is. That's what it looks like when it's finished, or nearly. I will put a sealer on this, either a brush on or a spray on at some point to keep everything from getting damaged or marked up. But I think it's a nice option to the printable covers that come with some of the accordion fold book kits. And then this way, if you decide to make a bigger, thicker book, perhaps you want to put 2 books together or 3 books together. Maybe they're different kits, but they're all the same size pages, so you could just make yourself a big, hefty, all-in-one book if you wanted to. By doing a cover like this, then you can have as many pages as you want and you can adapt. And then you can just take the cover images from whatever book kit that you're using and use that cover image to put on top of your new cover. Or maybe you just want to make the cover out of something other than just cardstock. So you can make it out of whatever you want. But I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial, an alternate way to put together the accordion books and to make a cover for them. I hope everybody is having an excellent week. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will see you all really, really soon in the next video. Bye, guys.